The bear's secret. Did you know that animals also use medicinal plants when they are sick? Today, I'm going to tell you about a bear who is renowned for his healing abilities. This bear lived a very long time ago, in the era we now call the Stone Age, somewhere in what is now Europe. And he wasn't just any bear. He was a cave bear, one of the largest bears that ever existed on Earth. But as big as he was equally gentle. He ate only plants, roots, fruits, and nuts. And unlike his brothers, he never ate meat. Do you wonder why? He didn't eat meat because he was the doctor of the forest. He knew very well all the plants with healing powers. He knew all the types of diseases that different animals had. And for them to trust him and not be afraid to come to him for treatment, he promised that he would never kill any animal in his life, but serve them as a doctor. Imagine who else would have trusted him if they found out the doctor had eaten a rabbit or a deer. No one would have sought him out, except for animals stronger than him, which were few, as the cave bear was among the largest and most powerful animals in the world. There were many doctors in the forest, but none were as good as him, in the sense that many animals who did not receive healing from other doctors came to him and he healed them. His reputation spread, but no one understood what he did differently from the other doctors, because there were many cases where the same plants were used as a remedy by both him and the other doctors, yet others did not recover when they did with him. This fact stirred envy in many, but he paid them no mind, continuing to practice his healing craft. One day, the daughter of the cave lion king fell ill. At first, it didn't seem too serious. She had only vomited, lacked appetite, and they thought she would quickly recover. Perhaps she had eaten something unsuitable for her age. But time passed, and the king's daughter still didn't recover. The royal doctors tried one by one to heal her, each in their own way, but the situation didn't improve in the slightest. The king then ordered all the doctors of the royal court to come to him for a meeting. There was a wolf who had vast knowledge of plants and natural remedies. Then there was a fox who had the ability to find ingenious solutions to problems. There was an owl, considered the wisest of them all, a rabbit doctor, a vulture, a crow, also renowned, and a poor donkey whom no one understood why the emperor kept, but he was his favorite. He was called to all the meetings. At the meeting, they discussed the king's daughter extensively. Perhaps together they could come up with a good idea to heal her, but none of the doctors knew what else to try to heal her. The only solution, they said, was to call the famous bear. Obviously, they didn't want to recommend another doctor to the king besides themselves, but they feared that if the girl died and the king found out about the bear, then he would reprimand them for not telling him about the miracle doctor. So, if I remember correctly how it was, the owl was the one who dared to recommend the bear to the emperor. The emperor immediately sent 2 rabbits to the bear to summon him to the royal court as quickly as possible. The bear doctor arrived quickly, consulted the girl, made a simple tea from various plants, mixing 3 or 4 kinds, and the girl completely recovered after just 1 cup of tea. You can imagine how happy the king was, and the entire kingdom, because the lion emperor's daughter was very charming. But again, no one understood how the bear could heal her with a simple tea when they had tried those same plants before, and the girl hadn't recovered. What did the bear do differently? Especially since everyone was present during the healing to learn from the bear, but they didn't notice anything special. The bear did exactly what they did before, only the bear had results. They did not. They were greatly ashamed, and the king rewarded the bear generously. Before letting him go home, he wanted to learn the bear's secret, but the bear couldn't explain it to the emperor. He had no idea why he had results when the other doctors didn't. Then the king commanded all the doctors to go home with the bear, and for a month each one to study what the bear did differently, and after a month to return and tell him what they had learned from the bear, but especially to put it into practice, to heal more patients than before. So the bear who had gone alone, only with 2 rabbits to the palace, now returned home with a multitude of doctors, who barely fit in his cave, which, by the way, was not small at all. Days and nights passed, and many patients continued to come to the bear without interruption. Day and night he healed, yet the other doctors still didn't see anything special in what he was doing. They used all the same remedies he did, prescribed the same doses, yet they couldn't understand what he was doing differently. Every day they discussed among themselves, wondering what to say to the king when they returned home. The only one who didn't say anything was the donkey, but everyone considered him foolish anyway, and no one paid him any attention, so no one asked him what he thought about the situation. The owl took a notebook, and every day with a quill she wrote down everything she saw, all the recipes, all the doses the bear recommended for different ailments, hoping to find some difference that would explain the bear's success compared to theirs. The deer, being inclined towards superstitions, was firmly convinced that the bear's healing power lay in a small clay figurine depicting a bear, despite his insistence that it was just a clay object, made by humans and found by his grandmother, and that besides sentimental value from his grandmother, it had no other value and no magical powers. The deer didn't believe him. So after a month passed, the owl returned with a huge notebook filled with recipes and observations she had written during this month, and the deer returned with a clay figurine, while other doctors took dried plants with them, believing that the air and soil where the bear lived were cleaner. Maybe the plants were better there. Only the donkey didn't take anything with him. He only thanked the bear for the hospitality, and they returned together to the king. The king waited for them impatiently. He was curious about the bear's secret, and hoped that from now on he would have not just one exceptional doctor in his kingdom, but many. So he asked them,
"What did you discover? What is the secret of the bear doctor? What did you do during the month you spent with him? What did you learn from him?"
Each one said what they thought, but they also had to demonstrate. However, none of them had better results than before, with one exception, the donkey. Only the donkey had considerably better results than all the others combined, and better than he had before going to the bear. The other doctors were greatly dismayed. Their disappointment was immense. How could this foolish donkey, who was not only foolish but also almost mute, never speaking, who did nothing the entire time they were with the bear, understand the bear's secret? Unbelievable! They couldn't believe it. Are you curious to find out what the secret was? Let's listen to what the donkey answered to the king's questions about what the bear did differently than all the kingdom's doctors.
Your Majesty, just as it seemed at first glance, initially I didn't notice anything special except for one detail that stuck in my mind. When the bear consulted your daughter, a small tear fell down his cheek. Other than that, he did everything just as we would have done. During my stay with him, I did not note down any recipes or analyze the quality of the plants. Instead, I tried to understand the difference between him and us. And I observed a difference that is not small. With every patient he sighs, shedding a tear out of compassion for them, regardless of who they are, dirty, mean, or poor. It doesn't matter to him. He feels pity for everyone. He treats everyone with compassion and love. This is something I have not seen in anyone else, to care so deeply for their patients. I believe this is the only difference between him and us, that he loves greatly. And he heals not just with plants, but also with love. This is what I tried to learn from him during the month, and it seems to work.
"And how did you learn love from him?" asked the king.
Not exactly. I don't possess it, but every day I try to think only good thoughts about my patients, and they heal better.
Everyone marveled at the wisdom of the donkey, and from that day forward, no one considered him foolish or lazy anymore. Instead, everyone called him the wise donkey. My story ends here, but I invite you to listen to some interesting truths about the Stone Age. The characters and events in this story are fictional. The historical truths are as follows. The Stone Age is the earliest period of human history. In Paleolithic Europe, the fauna was extremely diverse and included many large mammal species that no longer exist or are now very rare. For example, the cave bear, a large bear that lived in caves. The cave lion, an extinct subspecies of lion larger than the modern African lion. The woolly mammoth, a large elephant covered with thick fur adapted to the cold climate. The bison, the ancestor of the modern European bison. And the giant deer, among others.